LATD Nation, welcome back to the channel. Of course, it's your boy Jay.
And this is RG from the 843.
And we got another special, long-awaited movie review for y'all, man.
Facts. I feel like when was the last time we even reviewed a movie? Been
Let's
a while.
not worry about that.
Facts.
Let's just focus on let's focus on it now.
Yeah, you're right.
But yes, sir, we back for the long-awaited Michael, man.
Yep.
Based on a legendary, arguably the most famous person in the world of all time.
I would definitely say the biggest artist of all time.
Yeah, and the one and only Michael Jackson, man.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
so, I mean, obviously, Michael needs no introduction. I mean, Michael Jackson across, 4 decades, rose to become not only the most famous black musician of all time, just probably the most famous artist, as we said, to ever live.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Michael set countless industry records, trends that are still, you know, they're so influential that we don't even think about it today. Like the music video, for example.
Yep.
You know, the idea of turning a music video into a short film, you know, kind of an artistic statement, got started with Thriller. Really just Thriller, the overall album, the best-selling album of all time to this day. Set numerous records, you know, really kind of became the standard of what a big budget album really looked like and sounded like. So, of course, it was no surprise that, you know, in the wake of Michael's death, at some point, especially with how biopics have become more common as of late, especially music biopics, that we would eventually get, you know, a biopic about the legendary Michael Jackson. So, after much anticipation, it's finally here. And, of course, we're here to give our opinions on it. You know, definitely couldn't miss this one.
No, definitely not, man. Because all I know is Michael Jackson, for a lot of people, especially for like our parents,
Yeah.
he really paved the way for a lot of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As much as my mom, like, she's a Christian, as much as she likes to claim she don't listen to secular music, this, that, and the third. For some odd reason, I was always hear Michael Jackson in the car on the way to school all the time. You feel me?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I'm like, so I guess that's I used to ask her, so I guess that's the exception, huh, Mom? She's like, shut up, boy, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, he really, and also for me too, I love Michael Jackson's music, man.
Same. He's my second favorite artist of all time.
Yeah, just to see the influence that he had on today's generation too. You got so many people cosplaying as him. So many people make it. There's literally a trap version of Michael Jackson. Michael Trapson.
Yeah, I saw that.
People try to dress like him, walk like him, talk like him, dance like him, sing like him.
People still try to compare themselves to Michael all the time. Like artists today, so many people try to compare these artists. Oh, this is like the new Michael Jackson, or he's got Michael Jackson, or ain't nobody gonna be no Michael. Michael was a once in a lifetime talent. We will never ever see not only that level of talent, that level of artistry, dominance, it's just overall influence. It just obviously with how things have changed social media wise and how everybody's kind of a star, quote unquote.
Yeah.
You're never really gonna see that level of mystique and that level of aura. This was back when the celebrities were unobtainable.
Right.
And Michael exemplified that better than anybody.
I feel like the closest person that we could have had to being in like the next Michael Jackson was Chris Brown, but that's the whole debate for another day.
Yeah. You know, we're not gonna get into the Michael Chris Brown debate. Just know the talent was all there.
No, ain't no debate, but the talent
was all there. It's just the mindset.
Yeah, but
Chris got a few screws loose, you know, to say the least.
We ain't gonna get into all that today. Not today, at least. I mean, we got a Saturday morning rapper coming up soon, so.
Hey, who knows? Maybe. Shit. Hey.
But anyway, let's get to this movie, man. So what
before, you know, the breezies, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
they don't play about that.
Exactly. Well, they'll be all right. But what you think about the movie, though, overall, man?
Getting into the positives first and foremost. Like I said, Michael Jackson is my second favorite artist of all time. So
indeed,
there was definitely a lot of hype, definitely a lot of anticipation going into this movie because, you know, Michael is just somebody that you just grew up with. You know, Michael was just around, you know. Mm-hmm. Michael was just one of them people that it was just kind of like, he was just there. Michael just, you know, you just didn't think about it. You know, Michael was just always kind of like a part of everybody's life. So growing up being a Michael Jackson fan and finally seeing that this movie was being made, of course I had hesitation, as anybody would be, as anyone would have. You know, Jafar Jackson being cast, a lot of people felt like that was kind of a strange choice to a degree.
Michael Jackson's nephew.
His actual nephew.
And the whole irony with that is he's Jermaine Jackson's son.
Exactly.
And they had a whole rivalry back in the day,
Yeah,
too.
they did, yeah.
So I find that kind of ironic. You know?
Exactly. But nevertheless, what I can say, though, going into the movie, the positives, Jafar Jackson was definitely the right choice.
100%.
He embodies Michael. Everything from like how he speaks, just his mannerisms, just everything about him. It's just almost like Michael Jackson's come back to life, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I couldn't really see much difference.
Facts. Like, it was crazy how well he got everything. The singing, the dancing, just the general movements. Like, you could tell he really threw himself into this role. I think this might be his first, like, major role.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And like just with all the performances overall, but he was definitely the standout.
Easily.
Like 100%. Because he was, like I said, like
he's
the
only one that got any real character. He's the only one that got any real.
We'll get to that. Another person who really did a really good job, who kind of did steal the show in some cases, other than Jafar Jackson, was Coleman Domingo as Joe Jackson. For sure.
But that's to be expected. Coleman Domingo kills pretty much everything he's in at this point.
Yeah, he's easily one of the best actors of this generation.
Easily one of the best actors working today. One of my personal favorites.
Same here.
He's never missed in a role for me, ever.
Yeah, no, he hasn't. From Euphoria to Drive Away Dolls, even though that movie was ass, to this one, like
Coleman Domingo got a lot of range too.
Oh yeah, that's the biggest part about his acting that I love. That he has so much range.
Yeah,
and with that being said, the choreography in here was done very well. The production of the music videos and of the stage and everything.
The costumes were great.
Yeah,
they did a good job of recreating really just the time period overall, because it starts in the 60s, 70s, 80s. It does a really good job of keeping you in the time period, like throwing you into like what pop culture sounded and looked like at the time.
And let's give our flowers to Antoine Fuqua, because he directed the hell out of this movie.
Yeah.
Fuqua
has always been a great director, though. I mean, going back to Training Day.
Oh yeah, Training Day, the Equalizer movies.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's kind of about what The Magnificent Seven with Denzel Washington.
Underrated movie.
Super underrated. The thing is, but unfortunately, that's kind of the most of where his work is kind of most known. You know what I'm saying? But still, even here, that doesn't say much anything at all, because he's a great director regardless. Like if you look at any of his other work, especially this one, you can see the talent there, and he's easily one of my favorite directors of all time. Probably in my top. He's easily my top 5 or 3.
Yeah, no. Fuqua has always been very, very capable behind the camera. He's always been very good with angles, shots, just general cinematography. So I expected that coming into this movie, and I'm not surprised, but I more or less got what I expected.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that it would be this bright.
Yeah, true. But it kind of makes sense because of the time period.
Oh yeah,
and everything.
No, you're right. I just mostly watch his action movies. That's why I say that.
That's true.
So what about more positives from you?
Obviously, I mean, the soundtrack, of course, is gonna be great. That's almost kind of like that goes without saying. I mean, it's Michael Jackson. Arguably the greatest artist to ever live. So with that being said, I think the music is used well. Mm-hmm. I think the music is incorporated very well. But I was kind of surprised by how little music we had in it overall, in my opinion. I was surprised. We really didn't get as much music as you would have thought. From era to era, at least.
I have to disagree with that. I think the music was just enough.
Okay.
Personally, because it just captured every era that that Michael Jackson was the greatest in.
Yeah.
So it mostly just played as classics.
Yeah.
Rather than anything substantial, anything else that was kind of under the radar. That's what I mean. But other than but I see why you say that though. Mm-hmm. But I think the music was good enough for me personally.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not mad at you on that one. Yeah, I think the music, it was well utilized. Yeah. Definitely.
But what were you expecting more of?
I kind of felt like they should have dove more into, and this is where I get into my negatives. I feel like they didn't do as good of a job as they could have showing his process behind a lot of how he came up with these, how he conceptualized stuff, how he kind of thought a concept out, and how it materialized into material for the album. I feel like there wasn't a whole lot of deep diving or exploration into just him as an artist, how he created.
Right. And see, that I do 100% agree with. That's one of my flaws with this movie too. Because most of the time, all we see is just a montage of it.
Especially when you take into consideration, this is you know, a look behind what became some of the greatest, most groundbreaking music of all time, you would think that there would be a greater emphasis on like kind of showing how these things were created, like what kind of mindset he was in, like what he was doing in order to like actualize albums like Off the Wall and Thriller.
Exactly, because my thing is like, this is where I was kind of worried about Antoine Fuqua directing this. I love his work, y'all, as I mentioned. But the biggest problems with his characters and his like writing and scripts, a lot of them lack a little bit of depth.
Yeah.
You know, especially with the characters. And I hate to say it, but this one is no different.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking too.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, when you watch Training Day, like, I think Training Day can be somewhat of an exception because what you see there is kind of goes without saying about you see a crooked cop and everything like that. So I feel like that's somewhat of an exception. But when you watch shows like The Equalizer, or not shows, movies like The Equalizer and especially Magnificent Seven, we know little to nothing about these characters' backstories, only but what we've been told throughout the film.
Exactly.
Like, and that's kind of the same case here. Like, if you didn't know the Michael Jackson story, you're probably not gonna get too much out from this.
Yeah, I agree with that. You could watch a documentary.
Yeah,
to get more information on his actual life.
Yeah, and another big flaw that I have is that all the characters in here are just some of them are kind of just bland.
Yeah, even his relationship with his brothers was not thoroughly explored at all. Like, obviously, you know, legendarily, him and Jermaine kind of had like a back and forth sort of like they had issues, right?
Yeah,
but that's an example of where I feel like the movie falters. It doesn't do a good enough job of examining his relationships with the people around him, really, other than his father. And I feel like even that was sanitized, like a lot.
I see why you say that.
I
think it just. I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro.
No, you're good. I just feel like the movie just didn't really do a good job of like exploring a lot of these like relationships that he had. Because I mean, especially when you get into like relationship like with his manager, like his relationship with like his Quincy Jones. Like I said, his brothers. You don't really see a whole lot of that. You don't really see what those relationships were like. How influential and important they were to him as a man and as an artist. I feel like those things were very glossed over, and they weren't really like given really the kind of screen time that you would think.
Yeah, no, and see, that was a big problem that I had too, because like I get we have the Jacksons and American Dream, and I understood why they kind of glossed over their childhood because we've heard all that before. And I get that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like the process, but in between Bad, Thriller, and Off the Wall, like I agree. I wanted to know more about Michael Jackson, his relationships with his people, not just his father. Because like I said, I feel like I didn't say this, but I feel like with his father, it goes without saying. We know how bad Joe Jackson was to him, but we know how influential he still was to him. We know about the complexities of their relationship and how terrified he was of him. And I will say, but I'm sorry, bro. But I will say this. With that being said, they have the best dynamic in this whole movie,
easily,
because that's
the only real dynamic you really get with Michael. Exactly. In any of the relationships in this movie.
Unless with his mom, because the thing is, but I did like Joe Jackson because I remember, in this movie, I mean, rest in peace to the brother, but God, Anyway, I like one scene with Joe Jackson is how he was trying to emphasize how important family was, but to a really selfish degree. But one thing he did say about Michael is how people would come around him and just be yes men. That's one scene that I like because he wasn't entirely wrong, because as you see through Michael Jackson's life, you got really nothing but yes men the whole time.
Yeah.
Like I hear like documented like stories about him not having a lot of like close friends like that, or he had a real close inner circle, like for example Chris Tucker of all people.
Yeah.
So it's like
Eddie Murphy
and everything, and even his security guard Bill Bray, played by Keelan Darrell Jones, man. Like I love that dynamic too, and I wanted to see more of that too. But anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like it was a lot of missed opportunities to get further insight into just Michael as a person, not just as an artist, because I really wanted to see more of his relationships, like a relationship between Quincy Jones, because like Quincy Jones is in the movie, but he's not really there. And then another thing is
well, I would say it like this: he is just there.
yeah, no, literally. And then the thing is that I understand it's a biopic, and there's going to be historical inaccuracies and things are going to be moved around. But I didn't care for how they kind of like glossed over Off the Wall, as far as like how him and Quincy became closer connected, and like what that did for his career. Because obviously, the Wiz,
Right? Yeah.
him living in New York, he wasn't living in L.A. or in Encino at the time when Off the Wall came about.
Exactly.
And Off the Wall was the first steps towards him kind of breaking out as his own major superstar away from his brothers. That was his first big look as a solo artist. So it's kind of disappointing that we didn't get further insight on that. And then also that leads further into my criticism with how they did Motown 25 in particular, and really the Thriller era. Because I don't think they did a good enough job of emphasizing not just what Thriller was to him in his career, but what Thriller was as an overall global movement. Like Thriller, the way that Thriller changed everything, I feel like they didn't display that enough. I was watching Chris Stuckman's in a review, and he said they kind of made it feel like it was just sort of like another album in his career rather than being the crown jewel
that it was at the time
of what his overall legacy is. Like when people think of Michael Jackson and people think of like his music, Thriller and the music from that is generally what most people think of. People think of the red jacket, whether it's the glove,
you're exactly right. Yep.
And the fedora with Billie Jean and everything. Like when people think of Michael Jackson,
They think of that album.
everybody thinks of that. And Motown 25 kind of set the stage for that because a lot of people don't really know, but that was a celebration. And it's depicted in the movie, but it was a celebration of like Motown's first 25 years. And the movie kind of skips over the fact that that was also a reunion between him and his brothers, because him and his brothers performed before he did the Billie Jean thing, before he debuted the moonwalk. Him and his brothers performed on the stage first, and then when they left the stage, that was Michael kind of making the statement of, this is me on my own, I'm doing it my way, and I am, Michael Jackson, the solo artist at this point.
Really? I didn't know that.
That's why I'm saying that. And then also another thing in the movie that they touch on, but I don't think they did a very good job with this, just me personally. His cosmetic surgery, the rhinoplasty or whatever. The thing about that is that in reality, he didn't do that because obviously he did have insecurities about how he looked, and
everybody does.
But the way they portray it is they make it seem as though he did that specifically because of Joe. But in reality, his first nose surgery came from in 1979 or 78, 79. He was rehearsing and he fell
and he broke his
nose. And then he needed, reconstructive surgery for his nose, but they didn't do it right. So he had problems like breathing. So that's where all the nose surgeries came from. That's where that came from, actually.
Yeah.
And then they also portrayed the vitiligo to a degree. But I seen in the interview, Michael himself said that his skin didn't start getting lighter until after Thriller.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
But in the movie, they depict it as already happening around Off the Wall era. Now, I don't know how true that is.
Yeah, and see, when you say all that, that kind of makes the movie feel a little bit worse for me.
Yeah.
I'm not even about to sit here and lie. Because, like I said, I really did enjoy this movie for what it was.
Yeah, on entertainment surface value.
Yeah, exactly. But when you go, because this was one of my biggest worries about this film.
Yeah.
It's Michael Jackson. He's had countless, another movie, Man in the Mirror, which we Fluid Flex Alexander. That movie was ass, but it's a Michael Jackson movie.
Yeah.
We got the Jacksons in American Dream that goes into depth about his time with Off the Wall and his brothers and everything. We got countless documentaries. We got trial records. We got pictures, photos, videos about Michael Jackson just being himself in daily life. It's to the point where it's like, what else can you really say? What else can you really show?
True.
So that's what I was worried about this movie, because I figured that as much as I was somewhat excited for it, I was a little bit skeptical because I'm like, what else? Because like I just said, what else can you say? If you're gonna make a whole full feature length film about the greatest, most well known, arguably the most well known and well viewed person like Michael Jackson in the world. You gotta
actually at the height of his career.
Exactly. You gotta show a little bit more than just the surface level accolades because because all this movie really was like as far as
it just plays as a greatest hits.
Exactly.
It almost plays like a concert film, to be honest with you.
Exactly. That's damn near exactly what it is because the thing is, they really show you in this movie is home studio stage with only like 2 or 3 scenes with him in like a meeting room.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that bothered me about this movie. They just showed home, studio, and stage.
Yep.
And another thing that, man, I hate to sound like I'm crapping on this movie, but they got a lot of good and underrated actors in here that they barely even show. For example, Miles Teller being the biggest one. I'm like, they use him in a lot of the promotional material. I'm like, Miles.
He barely even in the movie.
And exactly, and John Branca, he's another person really influential in Michael Jackson's life. You have mentioned Quincy Jones, played by Kendrick Sampson, who was known. If y'all know Kendrick Sampson, he was in Insecure with Issa Rae. He's a pretty good actor, and like you said, he has well documented history with Quincy Jones. Very well documented. They had a very good relationship. But
I mean, they worked together across 3 albums.
Exactly, but when
over the course of like almost 10 years.
Yeah, and they could have showed more with that. But
really, over about 10 years.
Yeah.
Because I think Off the Wall was 79.
Yeah, they didn't start really kind of breaking apart until like Bad started coming out.
Yeah, after Bad, that's when.
Yeah, like Lorenz Tate was Berry Gordy. Now I understand. I kind of understand that because
Yeah, I didn't even realize that was Lorenz Tate. I didn't even realize that was him.
I respect that. I see.
What you say about my mama? I ain't seen that nigga in a minute. Yeah. It's Old Dog.
Yeah, I know.
The original YN.
Shit.
Old Dog scared the shit. Let me tell you something. I wasn't scared of Freddy Krueger. I wasn't scared of Jason. Old Dog was fear in my heart.
Yeah, I remember when I first watched Menace to Society, the first scene, I was like, oh, this looks cool. Oh, man, they being racially profiled, but they probably just go get their drinks and leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's as simple as that. Next thing you know, what you say about my mama? I'm like, hey, man, they just don't fight. He probably just going to fight. And boom, pow, pow. I'm like.
Mm-hmm. That's the opening scene of that movie.
I remember changing the channel. I was terrified after that, but I still watched the rest of it.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, no, but it's like they kind of. I kind of hate to say they waste a lot of talent in here.
Yeah,
but in this
Nia Long
is definitely. I
mean, she's in there, but she's not really.
She's not really that much of a big part of the story like that. They try to portray her like she is.
Laura Harrier. Yeah, that was Laura Harrier.
You right. Yeah, you were exactly right. The talent rep.
Yep.
In here, like 2 scenes, and that's it. And because this movie really feels like there was more to it, but they had to cut a lot of stuff out.
And that's what I heard. I heard there was a lot of reshoots even into like last year or something like that.
But you know who? And then Cat Graham was supposed to play Diana Ross.
But yeah, they had to cut that because I think Diana Ross there was some kind of legal situation with that.
I understand.
And that's another big thing is like they don't go into detail about. Again, the people that he was around, like the people that he came up around, like people don't realize like Diana Ross was a huge part of his life, like his entire life. Mm-hmm. Shit, not even just her, James Brown, all these people. Exactly. And another, like I said, we were talking about this earlier. Another thing I think that they missed out on is just kind of portraying just what his life was, especially around Thriller, and just like how much of an icon he had become in the 80s. Like how synonymous he had become with pop culture in the 80s. Like Michael Jackson was 80s pop culture, period. Mm-hmm. Not even just in music, just in general. And they didn't really do a good job of showing like what the ecosystem of the music industry, it just feels very isolated. Yeah. And when I say that, I mean, it just kind of feels like they don't really portray how he's affecting all aspects of just the music industry in particular. Like some of his contemporaries, we don't see them portray any of them. Like Prince. for example.
Yeah, like Prince is only mentioned in a throwaway line.
I didn't even think Prince was gonna get that, to be honest with you. And it's like kind of crazy because that was a very, very pivotal part of Michael's life, especially around that time. Michael and Prince, like these are two artists that are forever like intertwined with each other because they both came out, they both were born the same year, like a month apart. They came up around the same time. Both their primes and the greatest heights of their success was at the same time. Yeah. And just the overall media rivalry and everything. Like people still debate Michael and Prince to this day all the time. So even if they had just even sort of showed a little bit of Prince,
that would have been cool. Yeah,
that would have been just a cool. Now I'm not saying he had to be a main character in the movie, but that's an important part of his legacy that I think should have been addressed.
I'll say this too. You know why? I'm gonna compare this movie to another biopic of a legendary artist, James Brown. You know why Get On Up with Chadwick Boseman worked?
Yeah.
Is because even though they didn't show everything, we still got enough of the character or the character person, to know.
James Brown was an asshole, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's one thing that I liked about that movie. They didn't really gloss over much. Well, they did in some cases.
They gotta make it theatrical.
They gotta make it, but like they portrayed him as on the very least at the surface, an arrogant asshole.
Which he was.
Life. This is who he was. He like even like when you research him, you read about how much of an asshole he was an asshole from the beginning of the movie to the end of it.
He was an asshole his entire career.
And my thing is, but that's what made that movie work. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Not the fact that he was an asshole, but the fact that
he was on, substances, of course. Yeah.
But
everybody was. It's the 70s and 80s. Everybody was.
I ain't getting into all
I
that.
wouldn't be surprised if Michael. I don't.
Shut up. But no.
Matter of fact, that's another thing because the Pepsi thing too.
The Pepsi thing.
Yeah, him getting his scalp burned.
Yeah.
That created issues for him for the rest of his life.
Oh, it did.
Substance,
pain, the constant third-degree burns.
Yeah. Because he never fully recovered. That's why if you look at Michael from that point on, pretty much he was always wearing a wig or some kind of hairpiece.
Yeah.
His hair never fully recovered from that. That bald spot was pretty much there for the rest of his life.
But back to what I was saying, let me kind of clear that up a little bit. But the reason why it worked because they didn't really gloss over anything too important about James Brown.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The fact that he was who he was, the fact that he had so much of an impact in the music scene as he did, that's why that movie works so well, and why this one kind of, you know what I'm saying?
I just feel like it was a missed opportunity.
It definitely was.
It was a missed opportunity to really portray all of the complexities because it's not so...
Yeah, it's complex.
Yeah, because Michael has a very complex legacy. Even before all the real controversies came, like in the late 80s, early 90s, even then just his whole his come up, everything, there was so much around who he was as a man, not even just as an artist, that it's a shame that we didn't get a further, deeper exploration of that. Everything is too surface level.
Exactly. I feel like this movie. I feel like it's really the fault why that is because of probably just because his estate.
Yeah.
Truth be told.
Yeah.
It's definitely because of his estate.
Studio interference.
I don't think they wanted to portray him out to be somebody who's mean or somebody.
I don't even think it was that.
I think that's part of it. I think that's part of it though.
I think they wanted to kind of just preserve him as this figure that a lot of people have, especially since he's been gone for so long now. People growing up that weren't really cognizant or people who weren't even born.
Right, yeah.
Kind of, we have this idea of Michael in our head that he was almost like this perfect figure as far as how he's portrayed through his art. Mm-hmm. But I would have liked for them to have gone into more of the aspects of him that, his life wasn't all great. For example,
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. For example, they didn't really touch much on the fact that, Michael was a very lonely individual too. Because when Michael was growing up, he had to work and he had to work. He didn't really have time. He could never really got to be a child. He never really got to be a kid. Yeah. So Michael, he talked about that. He talked about how he used to cry because he couldn't hang out with other kids. He couldn't play on the playground, and there would be a playground like a studio. There would be a playground right next to the studio, and he would hear the kids all day, and he couldn't do that because he had to work. you know, that's something that I really wish they had, like, how isolated he felt.
I feel like they did that to a degree when he asked his brothers to play Twister with him.
Yeah.
Which was kind of weird, but
Very surface level.
But very surface level. But I think it was still there, like at least for me, because he started playing Twister with Bubbles, and I think that's why like his eccentric personality was so kind of on the forefront, because he never got it, like you said, he never really had a chance to really be a kid before.
Exactly.
So that always preserved to, oh, I'm a man now, so I can do whatever I want, and I'm gonna go relive my childhood that I never had.
Yep.
You know, and
Exactly.
and that's just, and like they really should have leaned into that more, if anything. And that's but honestly, as movie aside, that's probably the saddest part about Michael Jackson in a lot of ways, in a lot of ways, and it kind of shows why he was the way that he was.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, everybody in the movie industry, in the music industry, but even in that too, constantly used him. Constantly
They saw dollar signs.
he was a commodity.
From a kid?
Yeah, he was exactly from a kid. Yeah, he was a commodity ever since he been 10.
Not even 10, probably before that.
Like
5,
say,
6
like
years
5?
old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Because he joined the Jackson 5 at 5 years old.
and I feel like they should have leaned into that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because honestly, that's why a lot of times, even me, movie aside, that's why I felt kind of bad for. I honestly felt bad for Michael Jackson as a whole.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's generally this like a bad person at all. But there's the industry. If he was,
Mistreated.
the industry kind of made him this way.
He was definitely misunderstood.
Definitely. Oh yeah, 100%.
And I wish, especially with the way the movie ends, I mean, spoilers, but I mean, this is his actual life, you know, quote unquote.
Yeah, you'll be all
the
right.
movie ends with the bad era. They just kind of gloss over and go into the bad era. We get no kind of curate. We don't get to see how that music was curated. We don't get to see what his mindset was when he changed his image and his aesthetic. Because if you look at how he was dressing before and then how he was dressing in the bad era, was more of like, you know, the biker, like sort of like leather, like type image. He was going almost like an edgier aesthetic. It would have been cool to see how like that kind of came about, but it's just kind of like it kind of ends with the Victory Tour, which another thing, the Victory Tour, they didn't really glossed over that, because the Victory Tour actually like created like a rift between him and his family for the rest of his life. Like he felt like they fell out bad because of that, because they were arguing on tour the entire time, to the point to where like in the movie it's portrayed, he did announce that, yeah, this is it, we're never performing again together, and they basically never did, honestly.
Well, they did that one time.
Yeah.
But that was more for like an anniversary type thing.
But as far as like touring, never happened ever again.
But that's kind of the saddest part too, because it's really kind of because of Joe.
Yeah.
More than anything, because one thing I did like about this movie, they kind of made Joe seem like the reason why everything kind of turned out the way that it did.
Which, yeah.
For the good and for the bad, you know.
For sure.
For his whole family, you know. But
yeah, most definitely. But overall, it's good entertainment value.
Yeah.
It's good on a surface level. If you just want to just watch a movie about Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
the music, basically. And just have some music almost to sing along to.
And that's pretty much it.
But if you want to get into the meat and potatoes of who Michael is,
yeah,
you're better off looking other places, if I'm being honest with you.
It's unseasoned. That chicken was dry. Real dry. But
Not facts.
but I don't really got much else to say. But I will say this: I'd probably give it like a low smooth. Like it was about like a 7 out of 10.
I give it about
Maybe
a 6. I give it a 6 if I'm being honest with you.
I'll probably say 6.
I give it a 6.
Yeah, 6.5 out of 10 for me, man. It's low, smooth, but it was still all right for what it was. And we might get a sequel, but let's just be real. It's probably just going to be the same old that we already heard back in the 2000s.
I don't think it's going to do much difference in terms of like how it's directed and the stylization and everything.
Yeah.
But
But people going to go see it, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm glad people had a good time with it.
Yeah, no. I agree. I'm glad my mom. I called my mom and our cousin today. They went to go see it. They gave it a 10 out of 10, beyond the 10. And my thing is, they were mad at me that I gave it a 7 at first.
Yeah.
They'll even be madder when they see this review and I gave it a 6.5.
Exactly.
Oh well.
It'd be like that.
But with that being said, man, I've been Jay.
This has been Rodney.
We are LATD. We got more videos coming. Stay tuned for a Saturday morning wrap up, either this week or
Very
next
soon.
week. God bless y'all. Look at the details. Peace, man.